So I've showed you how you can take PHP to send simple text and HTML to a web browser. In other words, this is something that you probably don't need PHP for at all. But don't worry, we're going to learn how to use the print function in conjunction with other PHP features so that we can do great and useful things with your websites. In order to take the leap from creating simple static pages to dynamic web applications and interactive websites, we need to be using variables. Understanding what variables are and the types of variables that the language supports and how to use them is very important. We're going to be focusing on variables in PHP. If you've used variables before in other languages, you're probably already familiar with the concept, and you should be able to understand the PHP variables very easily. A variable is simply a container for data. Once the data has been stored in a variable, or we commonly say once the variable has been assigned a value, then that data can be altered, printed to the browser, saved to a database, emailed, and so forth. Variables in PHP are flexible. You can put data into a variable, you can retrieve that data from it without affecting the value of the variable. You can also put new data in it, and you can continue this cycle as many times as necessary. But please note that variables in PHP are temporary. Most only exist. They only have a value for the duration of the script's execution on the server. Once the execution of the script is complete, and this often happens when you reach the final closing PHP tag, the variables cease to exist. After the users clicked a link or submitted a form, they may be taken to a new page, and that may have an entirely new set of variables available. Before we get too deep into the discussion of variables, let's write a quick script that reveals how we can use some of PHP's predefined variables. These are variables that PHP automatically creates when a script runs. There's all sorts of different predefined variables that we'll be looking at throughout this course. The first one that we're going to look at is the server variable, which contains a lot of information about the computer on which PHP is running. In order to utilize the server variable, we're going to create some PHP tags, and we're going to be using the printr function. So printr is a function that offers an easy way to display any variable's value. When you're writing the printr function, the format is going to look something like this, where you're going to use printr. You're going to open your set of parentheses, and inside the parentheses, you'll pass on the variable name. This is the variable that you would like to inspect as a single argument to the printr function. The predefined variable that we're going to be looking at is the server variable. So I'm going to write $_server. This special predefined variable stores all sorts of data about the server. Its name, its operating system, the name of the current user, information about the web server application, and so on. It's also going to reflect the PHP script being executed. It is worth noting that all variables are not always uppercase, but the predefined variable of server is. Variables always start with the $. Let's go ahead and look at how the server variable is going to work. I'm going to save this page, and I have to make sure that I'm using my application server. I'm going to open up the file, and you'll see that this is the information that I get. So this information may look a little bit like gibberish, but it is giving us information about our system. So it's letting me know the HTTP host that I'm using. It's letting me know the browser version that I'm using. It's letting me know that I'm using text HTML. There's all sorts of information that is available here. The information isn't really that important to us. I just wanted to show you how you can use this predefined variable. Now, this information also is a little difficult to read. So if we take this PHP tag and instead of having it appear just within the paragraph tag, I'm going to wrap it inside a pre-tag. And the pre-tag will change the format of this server variable. If we save the page and we refresh it, notice that the format is much more legible. So now it's going to list the exact same information, but in a way that's much easier for us to read. So again, the server variable could be helpful if you're trying to debug or find out information about how your host is generating the information and specifics about the software, the browser, the connection, all those sorts of things. So the server variable is going to store all sorts of different data about the server. It is important to note that PHP does have some predefined variables. You may want to use them to get information like we just did about our server, but more often than not, you're going to be creating your own variables. So we'll be talking about that in the next movie.